Frank from Yogomi, and this is Mindy, aka the Geeky Seamstress, and we're here to talk geek over coffee. What's up? Talk geek stuff over coffee. And so let's go back. First time I met you was at Acon, and then you were Bombshell Wonder Woman.
I was,
which is very special to me, by the way. And so you were one of we took the first photo. I took a couple of photos of you then. And then you also, what else? Did you cosplay anything else that weekend?
I'm sure I did. A-Con is one of the cons I normally attend all weekend. I don't remember those off the top of my head.
But you do the whole weekend, don't you?
Yeah.
You get like a
normally
room
the whole
and everything?
weekend. Yeah, that's one of the cons that I try to stay at the hotel and stay all weekend or stay with a friend who lives really close.
Right.
Yeah.
But now it's in Fort Worth.
It is. Thankfully, I do have a lot of friends in Fort Worth, so
good.
They're only like 10-15 minutes away. So what we'll do is we'll actually stay at their house all weekend, and then we'll just take an Uber over to the con. That way, we're good.
And so you do. Okay, so I met you. You were doing Bombshell Wonder Woman, but you do a lot of other ones. You do Captain Marvel. You do several versions of Rogue. Well, versions of Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Several versions of Rogue. A lot of anime. Sailor Moon, which is one of my favorites. Talk about Sailor Moon. That's like your favorite anime, right?
It's one of my favorite animes. I got into it when I was really, really young. I think I was not quite 10 years old, somewhere in the range of like 6 to 10. I can't exactly remember. But I remember getting up every Saturday morning because it showed at like 6 a.m. on the WB. And they had the really crappy Deke translation, which if you're not familiar with the Sailor Moon anime, a lot of it was deemed inappropriate for American audiences.
For American audiences, of course.
A lot of sexuality and things like that. And oh my gosh, they're naked when they're transforming, even though really it's just a silhouette of a body. But oh goodness. So they would do a lot of things like cut down the transformation sequences and things like that, and remove a lot of really crazy plot detail. I didn't realize until I was in college that the Senshi actually die several times throughout the series. Like the end of the first arc when they go to the North Pole to fight Queen Beryl, they all legitimately die.
Now, why do you think they cut that out?
I think it was just deemed too violent
for cartoons, for Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes, exactly. I think
for
that
anyone.
was part of it. Yeah, but I got my hands on a bootleg copy of the entire run of Sailor Moon right after college. So I just sat down and watched it all pretty much for the first time. And I was just bawling my eyes out. I was like, oh my God, I can't handle this. What is going on? And the entire final season of Sailor Moon, they completely cut from the English adaptation.
Wow. So how did you get into cosplaying Sailor Moon?
So my coworker came up to me and was going, so we saw that you minored in Japanese. And I was like, oh no, where is this going? And so she was like, does this mean you're into anime? And I was like, is it that obvious? and yeah, I had minored in Japanese in college, and I had spent a short study abroad session over in Japan. And so whenever she was like, okay, I'm not judging you here, but here, me and my friends used to cosplay as Sailor Moon when we were in high school, and we go to this thing called A-Con every year.
So was Sailor Moon your first cosplay?
No, it was not. I did not feel like, especially when I first got started, that I was skilled enough to tackle a Sailor Moon costume. So that first A-Con that I went with her, I was so brand new to cosplay. Like, I didn't know how to do anything crafty at all. But she convinced me to go ahead and try making my first costume, which was Korra from the Avatar series. And I also threw together a rainbow dash from My Little Pony. And as soon as that convention was over, I was like, I'm hooked. I'm on this. So I went out, I bought my first sewing machine. And when I say I've never done anything really crafty before this, I do mean that. Because I never had taken so much as a home ec class.
Right.
So it was all super brand new to me.
And but you've done so many since 6 years, right? You've been cosplaying, but your favorite? Do you have a favorite one? What's your favorite one?
I have a few that are extra near and dear. I really love doing insanely detailed, like big competitive builds. Those are my jam.
Right.
And one of my first ones that I really loved in that vein was Lulu from Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X was my first entry in the Final Fantasy series.
Right.
And as soon as I played the game, I was like, I am so into this girl. I love her. I love her sass. I love how much of a big sister she is.
And it's an incredibly detailed
costume.
I mean, you know how I've commented on that so many times.
Yes.
And it's just like one of my favorites. I still want to do a shoot with that. I mean, that's just amazing.
Absolutely.
The work, the detail in that is just so incredible.
It was a lot of work. It was definitely a labor of love. I worked on it off and on for about 8 months, but I specifically waited until I had a couple years of experience before I dove into it, because this was a dream costume for me and I wanted to do it justice.
Right. And so you, when did you debut that? Was it 2016?
It was 2015. The first time I wore it was for the costume contest at Anime North Texas.
Okay. And you won something that
yeah, I got best craftsmanship for that one.
That's right. That's right. I think we talked about cons and your favorite. There's a lot of, I'd say the major cons here. We have A-Con, we have A-Fest, Fan Expo, Fan Days, or I would say the 4 major cons.
Yeah, those are definitely the big ones for Dallas.
Yeah, Anime North Texas is not quite as big as those.
No, it's definitely a smaller one.
Yeah, but those are the big ones.
Yeah, those are the big ones. And then there's All-Con as well, but that's also a bit of a smaller one.
And then there's also Comic Book Dallas or something like that, which is coming up pretty soon, actually.
Comic Book Dallas, and then the North Texas comic book shows, which normally happen once a quarter or so.
And what's your favorite?
I think A-Con is probably one of my favorites, closely followed by A-Fest.
Right.
A-Con I really like, partly because it was the first con that I've ever been to, so it's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
But also, it's just got a lot of variety to it. So people do tend to get in their heads about, oh, I can't wear a comic book costume to an anime convention.
Right. I get the same thing.
Yeah, but there's so much crossover that you really don't have to worry about it. I've worn comic book costumes to A-Con all the time.
At both cons it's that way. Fan Expo, Fan Days, people think it's all comic books, but there's plenty of anime things there too. I have tons of photos to prove. I got a guy that dresses the Guyver at Fan Days. A lot of the stuff I get is mostly anime. I mean,
honestly, for me, I'm always like, any excuse to put on a costume, I'm down for.
So, a few things coming up I got to ask you questions about. Black Panther.
Black Panther.
So what do you think about that?
I am so hyped for that movie. It looks amazing. Every trailer that I see of it, I'm just like, man, I am ready to go see them like mess up stuff.
I think I told you this, but we've been friends for a while. But I think I might have told you this, but I don't watch trailers now, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So not every movie, but most movies that I'm really excited to see, I don't watch the trailer. So I never saw the trailer. I actually never saw the trailer for Force Awakens.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that Han and Chewie were coming on to the Millennium Falcon. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know the Millennium Falcon was in it. I did not know. So when they're running they're running on Jakku, and he was like, he was like, what about that one? She's like, that's a piece of junk. And then when that came over, and I was like, what is going on? Yeah, and so I had no idea. And the first time I tried this was with Guardians of the Galaxy. Because I've read so many Guardians of the Galaxy comics. So many of them. We're talking way back before the original, or way before the lineup that it is now. I read so many comics that I just couldn't understand, why are they making a movie about, Guardians of the Galaxy? Why are they making this movie? Nobody knows who they are. I mean, it's not that they're not cool or anything like that. It's not like nobody knows who they are. Well, it was. It was like nobody knew who they were. Everybody knew who Iron Man was, and everybody knows who Spider-Man is, but nobody knew who this weird bunch of...
I do think that's kind of something really cool, though, because you don't have the decades and decades of comic book, and I hate to say this, but baggage.
Right.
So whenever you're talking about, okay, let's go present this thing to a fresh audience, you don't have the people who are going like, well, so-and-so isn't going to be a good fit for that character.
And what's really interesting is how many people basically express their knowledge of comic books based on the movies, not on actual comics. So that was the first movie that I said, okay, this movie has got to be really good because first of all, nobody knows who these people are. I know who they are because I've read tons of their comics.
Absolutely.
Not even all of them, but a bunch of story arcs. And back when Yondu was actually a Guardian of the Galaxy, he had that huge fin and everything. So I said, this is the first movie. Another thing that was really bothering me were spoilers. People putting up spoilers and constantly spoiler this and spoilers were really annoying me. I even called some of the major like I can't remember, but like the geek sites on Facebook that were have all these followers, and then they're and then one person would be like, "Is this a spoiler?" And I'm like, "You just put in the title, there's a spoiler," and then people were defending it, saying, "Well, the spoiler isn't actually in the article. The link to the spoilers." I'm like, "What difference does it make?" And so what happened? This is what I think happens. I'm clearly not, I don't know how people think, but what I feel happens is everybody gets behind the scenes and gets their little spoilers, and they create the movie in their head that they expect it to be. It doesn't become that movie that they created.
That they were hoping.
Forget the director who wrote it and everything. It becomes the movie that they created based on all these spoilers and all this ahead of time, information. And so, you come back to these terrible reviews and everybody is just trashing the movie, and then it becomes trendy to not like a certain movie. Like when it's like the joke to not like a certain movie.
Yeah,
and
I hear
that kind of annoys me. So I decided Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm not going to watch the trailer. So the only thing I ever saw was that one scene, because I didn't know what it was until it popped up. The one scene where they show all four of them kind of walking slow motion towards them. That's the only thing I ever saw. And so I thought, okay, cut it off. So that was the first movie I did that with. Yeah. And I walked away from that movie just like, that was freaking awesome. I loved it.
That is fantastic.
And the thing was, it didn't matter if it was really a great movie. It's just that I didn't know what I was going into. I sort of did, but I didn't.
And that's kind of a nice feeling to go into. Like, my husband and I, we dropped cable like years ago.
After Boardwalk Empire, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, we were like, we're done with this. So we don't watch commercials for anything anymore. Anything.
No.
So we'll wind up going into a movie just totally blind. We have to actively go out to YouTube to watch some of the big trailers. Yeah. And it's such a nice feeling to go into a movie just totally non-spoiled, because it's so common and it happens with everything now.
And so I kid you not, I could ask my friends if we'd be in the theater, they show trailers before the movie, I would do this and do la 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 in my head, or I would just walk out of the theater. I'd just walk out and I'd wait till it was over and come back in.
Great time to go take a restroom break or go pick up some concessions.
And my girlfriend would see it and it's like, Frank, she's like, it's a trailer, you gotta cover it. She knows, like, I don't want to see it. And I'll like,
don't want to.
Put thoughts in my head. But so I've done that with all the Star Wars, the new Star Wars. When I did Force Awakens, I did Rogue One, I did The Last Jedi. I never saw the trailer for Last Jedi, even though I reposted it on my YouTube channel. Didn't watch it. I just went straight. I added the intro and went straight to it. Didn't watch it. And my girlfriend was like, "How did you put that up?" I was like, "I just didn't watch it." I don't do it with every movie. And I've seen snippets of the Black Panther because it's actually showing up on some streaming things. Like
it is.
There's some streaming channel sites that I watch that do have commercials, like Comedy Central or something.
Right.
So it pop in, but I can ignore it.
Yeah.
But I find I
put it on mute for 30 seconds or so.
Just walk away.
Yeah.
I find I enjoy the movie so much more now, and one thing I will never do, especially with Yogomi, is do any kind of spoilers or anything. Yeah. But I gotta tell you, it's 2018 now?
Yeah, 2018.
If you didn't know that Han and Chewie came onto the Millennium Falcon in Force Awakens,
sorry.
You need to get up on time. Let's go, people. Okay. So I know you like the Wonder Woman movie.
I do.
What do you think about Justice League?
I thought Wonder Woman was fantastic in Justice League. I did like the little bit of Aquaman sitting on the lasso of truth. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that bit.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think Marvel's got it right. Marvel's got it right.
Yep, I agree.
They created a universe.
They did.
And it's the TV universe. It is the cinematic universe. It is the Marvel universe. And now that Sony's playing nice with Spider-Man Homecoming, which I freaking love.
So excited for that.
Freaking love.
So excited.
Yeah, and then now Fox has been purchased by Disney. So that means we might get to see Wolverine and Captain America on the same screen together.
Oh, I'm so excited. I really, this is my super nerdy dream. I want to see Carol and Rogue go head to head for a little while. Yeah.
I mean, before, they couldn't even say the word mutant in any of the Marvel cinematic. You couldn't say the word mutant. That's why they had two different Quicksilvers.
I'm kind of curious to see if they attempt to do any retconning with that, since they did kill off Quicksilver in the last Avengers movie. Curious to see what they do with that, or if they're going to slide in any allusions to...
Well, Wolverine is back in the comics.
Yes, he is.
He is back. So he could come back.
I mean, we'll see.
But we're also on a different timeline now with the X-Men.
That's true.
We're on the first class basically timeline now. So things have changed, even though they did have that Wolverine in there. Yay! So this is Pascal.
Hi.
How are you?
Can you come down and look at the camera? Can you come down and look at the camera?
Do what?
Come down.
Oh.
Come down.
Yeah.
Well, so this is Pascal, and she let us film this at Opening Bell, and she is awesome here at Southside Lamar. Yeah.
Y'all are sweet.
Thank you. See ya. Yeah, so she's the coffee shop owner.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we just got a treat there. Yeah, and she lets me come down and do the stuff. So
that's awesome.
Anyway, they did have Hugh Jackman Wolverine in First Class a few times. You remember?
Yes.
So he's expressed he wanted to be an Avenger. So I don't know.
Oh, this would make me so happy.
It would make me really happy too, because it should have been that way. It should have been for the fans to begin with. It should have been like, hey, I know we're making money with Spider-Man, and you're making money with Captain America, and the X-Men are over here, but you know what? The fans...
Can we just bring them all together?
I mean, there's a whole series of comics. Avengers versus X-Men. Avengers and X-Men, or whatever. So we should have that. We deserve it.
We do.
One more question for you. Old anime or new anime?
For me, it depends on the series. There's a lot of newer anime that I do really like.
Okay.
I really like My Hero Academia, and that came out last year. That was a lot of fun. I love Kill la Kill. That came out, I think, 2-3 years ago. One of my favorites. I just finished watching Devilman Crybaby, and I really enjoyed it. But there's something to be said for, the older anime as well. Sailor Moon Crystal dropped the ball.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball hard.
Yeah.
They had a chance to really reinvent that series and make it something incredible, and they didn't do anything with it. The opportunity was there.
Yeah.
So you know what? The original series still is better to me.
Yeah.
There were definitely moments, little gems in the updated version that I was like, oh, you could really go somewhere with this, and
didn't do it.
It just didn't do it.
You have a favorite old one? What's your favorite old one? Is it Sailor Moon?
Yeah, I think it's gotta be Sailor Moon.
So what's your favorite new one that's not Sailor Moon?
I'd have to say newer. And I think that's got to be Code Geass. But Code Geass came out, I want to say like 10 years ago, something like that. I think 2008 or so.
They don't make the anime I like anymore.
Really?
No.
Because you're more into mecha,
I'm
right?
really into mecha, but so for me, this is how it went. So I grew up, Star Blazers was my thing. I used to like Battle Beyond the Star, or what was the one? G-Force, like all that stuff. But the whole giant robot thing was like my jam, right?
Yeah,
I loved the whole giant robot thing, but there was something about like the Robotech and all the Macross and all those things. There was something, how much I loved Godzilla and all that stuff. There was something about that was just, I couldn't get into these giant robots that were as big as buildings and creating a lot of destruction, right? So when I went to a bookstore, I want to say in late 80s, I'm old by the way, I discovered Appleseed. Which is weird because I discovered Appleseed before I discovered Akira, Akira is like the Star Wars of anime.
Right,
you know what I mean? But I picked up Appleseed because of the cover. And on the cover, it shows the two main characters, Briareos and Dunan, and he's basically, he's protecting her. He's jumped from one rooftop to another, and you can tell that he's landed. The artwork is amazing. He's landed, and he's holding her because they had to escape something. And you can kind of create that story from looking at the cover. And so, but he's all completely cyborg. So that was my thing. Mecha was my thing. And so I see this guy with all this cyborg, so I'm like, that's kind of cool, and he's normal size. And that's what convinced me. So I open up Appleseed and I start reading it, and the technology in Appleseed convinced me more.
Really
that's
cool.
what convinced me. Landmates, like they have these landmates that the person gets inside it, and you have a set of arms that you move, that moves the bigger arms, and then you walk. And that convinced me, like when I saw that, I was like, that is such an ingenious idea.
Cool.
And then the movie Aliens comes out, and she has those lifters. I'm like, whoa, that's almost exactly. They weren't like super huge. I mean, they were big, but they were big enough to get into a building or ride on a vehicle. They were still really big. So that became like my favorite. And that's actually produced, that was created by Masamune Shiro, who did Ghost in the Shell. I
love Ghost in the Shell. Season 1 was just like so good.
He did Ghost in the Shell. He did a few other ones like Orion and Black Magic M66, which is another great. It's a great anime if you ever. It's an old one, but the story, it's basically about this battle android that goes rogue and they can't control it, and it's it's so powerful, it's like it's hard to stop, and it's a female android robot that just but the thing is he always had all of his heroes, Major Motoko, they're all female, all of his heroes, and the protagonists are strong female characters. So Dunan, Major Motoko, even in Tank Police, it's always like the leaders, and I like that. I always thought that was really cool departure from. But they did make a 2004 Appleseed. It was called Appleseed 2004, which was very similar to the second book of the Appleseed books. I would say it was closer to the second book. It kind of deviated a little bit, but I would say the second one. Then they did an Appleseed Ex Machina, which was I think was influenced by John Woo. I think he had something to do with it, and it had some John Woo stuff in it, like the whole flip and land with two guns like this. I was like, oh, come on! And then they did another one, I want to say in 2015, called Appleseed Alpha. So it looks, what it looks like is they're starting the story over. I highly suggest Alpha. I highly suggest 2004. That's just one of my favorite ones because it's closer. But they just don't make like those kind of stories and those kind of animes. I don't ever see them anymore. You go back, you had Pat Labor and other ones that were still really old ones, but nobody really makes the NECA stuff anymore. It's all giant robots, and even then, it's a lot of drama has come into it to where it's like really like metaphysical and
like the ending of Neon Genesis.
Exactly. Perfect example.
Where it's like, is this an acid trip or what?
Perfect example, right? And I'm the kind of guy, I like good guys like John Wick and coming and beating the bad guys. I don't need too much of that kind of stuff. Right. It's just me. So what I liked about Appleseed was it was an E-SWAT, basically these police that were taking over New Tokyo, and the crime and stuff that they had to fight, just like any other kind of police. But in a whole, after World War III, it's just after World War III, the Earth has been devastated and Tokyo is being rebuilt, and I like that story, and you had, what do you have? You had people that were cyborgs, and it was weird if you didn't. You know how like it's weird if you don't have a
Right.
tattoo now.
Yeah.
It was weird if you didn't have some kind of cybernetic enhancement. You know,
okay.
like wow, you don't have any. You know, it was
Yeah.
that's how it is then. And it's very similar to very similar to Ghost in the Shell, which is
That was
you
gonna
know
say that sounds
very similar. You know, but yeah, they just don't really make a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even he doesn't even make stuff like that anymore. And,
And that's probably part of at least the trends of what's popular right now.
I mean,
for
now
sure.
it's like ice skating and basketball and what's
a lot of sports anime is
I've
definitely
noticed that. That's really popped up.
popular right now.
Did not see that coming.
Which fine.
If people love it.
If you're into it, you're into it.
people love it.
Personally, I hate sports.
Yeah, like
My husband's trying to get me to watch Friday Night Lights right now, and I resisted for the longest time.
Yeah.
Because I actually had to stand up and walk away from the room whenever he put on the first episode, because no joke, I grew up in small town Texas.
Yeah, I'm from small town Oklahoma.
Where football is
Yeah.
your religion. And if you don't go to church on Sunday morning and football on Friday night, there's something wrong with
yeah,
you.
exactly. And so I like sports. I'm like, I don't watch real sports. I'm not going to watch cartoon sports, and that's just me.
Yeah.
But I think there's
I
a
feel
lot
ya,
of drama
I
or
feel ya.
something that goes along with it that draws people in. You know.
Yeah, for
so,
sure.
But pass.
Like my husband likes to say about Friday Night Lights, it's not about the football, it's about the relationships. I'm like, but
that's
I've got to
true.
look past the football to get to the human interaction.
Exactly.
No, I do really like a lot of the various magical girl animes that have come out recently, because one of the ones I really love, Madoka Magica, they've taken these well-established tropes and they kind of flip them on their head. So you go into Madoka Magica thinking, oh, this is kind of going to be a repeat of Sailor Moon, you know,
Right.
blah blah blah. It's all good and fine and dandy. It's cute, and then you're not prepared for your feelings being completely like destroyed.
Right.
Very
And what's the
early
name of that
on.
one again?
Madoka Magica.
Madoka Magica. So I need to branch out and start watching. I know I need to like open up my mind and give them a shot, which I have been doing. But I'm actually about to do a video of some of my favorite animes here pretty soon.
Oh,
so
nice.
there's some old ones, there's some new-ish ones. So I'm not completely all mecha. There's a lot of stuff I like. But hey, you know what? Thanks for
Of course,
doing this with
of
me. It was pretty
course,
awesome for
yeah.
our first one. Yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See you at the next one.
See ya.
That was easy.